Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Sober School, where you can always find experience, strength, and hope. My name is Drew. I'm an alcoholic through and through. We want to welcome you to this platform here today, regardless of what your addiction may be. You are absolutely welcome here. We support your pathway to recovery, your pathway, and whichever pathway it is that you choose, we are here to help, and we definitely want to make sure that it works for you. I remember when I was drinking a lot, like all the time. One of the things I think that upset me the most, that made me want to drink, well, that I used as an excuse to drink, was I just felt like I had no purpose, no value. I was contributing absolutely nothing to society, wasn't contributing to my family, wasn't able to live up to the expectations I set for myself to contribute to my family. And I just felt like my life had no meaning, no value, no purpose, which of course, not having any value, any purpose, that led me to start having low self-esteem, no self-value, no self-worth. And I think in 2021, early 2021, I think it had all just finally reached a point to where I didn't feel worth anything to anybody. I didn't feel like I could contribute nothing to no one. And coming to that realization in my alcoholic brain, I think that's where I just reached a point of, you know what, fuck it. Why am I even here? And I had just resigned myself to the fate that I was just going to die a drunk. I remember thinking that one of the things that also depressed me as well was the fact I just couldn't manage my drinking. That was the one thing in my life I just couldn't seem to beat. My background, I had beat all the odds. Anything I'd ever wanted to do, almost anything I ever wanted to do, I'd been able to do it. Even when all the naysayers said, no, Drew, you can't do this, you can't do that. I said, choom, right? And I did it. Except for beating my alcoholism. And that's why I didn't want anybody to know I was an alcoholic. That's why I hid it so long from so many people. I didn't want them to know that, hey, this is the one thing I couldn't beat. So that helped aid in my degeneration of my self-value and self-worth. At the end of the day, I think all we really want deep down inside is just to feel like we're part of something important. We're part of some grand scheme of things in society. I don't care if you call it metaphysical. I don't care if you call it spiritual. I don't care what you call it. I think deep down, fundamentally, at the root of it all, we just don't feel like we belong. And that's where I was at in 2021, early 2021. And at that point, I was just like, what's the point of even living? And I remember I was talking to my sponsor the other day. We were riding around together, and I was sharing all this with him. Of course, he knew. But I told him, I said, I had resigned myself to meeting God. I was going to meet God. And I firmly believe to this day that I was going to meet God in 2021. Looking at my blood panels and all that stuff, my health, I was not in a good place at all. And so knowing that I was going to meet God, I was better be ready to argue with God. I was better be ready to convince God why he needed to let me into heaven. That was my thought. The God who hated me, the God from my childhood who wanted nothing to do with me, I was going to have to stand before him and convince him he needed to let me into heaven. Yeah, great circular logic, if any. And so I remember, having planned a dialogue out in my head. Lord, you need to let me into heaven. God was going to say, why? I said, because I did this and I did that. And he's going to say, it's not good enough. Let's talk about the things you didn't do. I had the whole conversation planned out in my head. And God was going to ask me at some point in time, did you try everything to stop drinking? And I was going to say, oh, yes, Lord. And he's going to say, but did you try AA? And I was going to say, oh, yeah, sort of. So I said, okay. In my mind, I said, I better give this AA thing a shot. And be willing to tell God to his face that I truly gave it a wholehearted effort. And so in July of 2021, I stumbled into the rooms of AA. And again, like as I've shared many times, when I first came into the rooms back in 2013, I was met with nothing but love and compassion and understanding, and people just happy I was there. When they started talking about God, that's what scared me off, because I didn't want nothing to do with God. And so when I came back into the rooms in 2021, I again was met by these same people, a lot of the same people who they were just happy I was there. Love, compassion, understanding, sympathy, all the things that you could hope for and ask for. But I was just skeptical about the whole God thing. Well, lo and behold, I stumbled into a room about 28 days into my sobriety. I stumbled into a room by accident. I wasn't supposed to be in that room, and that's where I met my sponsor and a whole bunch of other people. And my sponsor, of course, was the one who had that fire that I talked about yesterday. He had that fire in his eyes. And I said, shit, I want that fire. I want that fire. And throughout that process of him, becoming my sponsor, taking me through the steps, I learned a lot about me. And I learned that, you know what? I'm still a shit person. I still have shitty attributes, no doubt about that. Ask anybody who hates me or even knows me for that fact. They'll tell you, I may still have a lot of shitty attributes, but at the end of the day, I don't have to let those shitty attributes define who I am today. And you don't either. You may want to sit and pick yourself apart, and it's easy to do by definition, by our very nature of being human beings. It's easy for us to do. It's easy for us to find fault in ourselves. It's definitely easy for us to find fault in other people. You may want to sit and just pick yourself apart, but just because you've made mistakes in the past, just because you may have made a mistake yesterday even, or today, doesn't mean you're a shitty person. And through coming into the program and working through the steps like I did with my sponsor and the countless other people that I've met along this recovery journey, I'm sitting here today. Yeah, I may still have some shitty attributes, but I'm no longer a shitty person. I do have self-value. I do have self-esteem. I do have self-worth. Matter of fact, as I shared yesterday, Josh and I were at the Q&A, and he's just swallowed up with tears, and he's like, who would have ever thought a drug addict from Texas could have a hand in all this, what he was witnessing at the Q&A. And it's right, who would have ever thought that, Eric, who wouldn't speak at all when he first came in the room, he wouldn't speak at all. Hell, he's the one who came up with the idea. He's the one who said, hey, let's try this QA thing. Okay, sounds great. And now look where it's gone. So your life does have purpose. You just haven't found it yet. You may be depressed and feeling like you're not worth anything, feel like you have no meaning, no value in anybody else's life. But I assure you, I'm sitting here to tell you right now that you do. You just haven't found it yet. And that's where the process of working the steps of any 12-step program, whichever one you pick, whatever 12-step program you want, you pick one, you start working those steps. That's what they're designed to do. For me, AA was the only thing that worked for me, so that's why I talk a lot about AA, but I'm not here to sell you on AA. I'm not here to sell you on anything other than you are worth something. Your life does have value and meaning. We just got to help you find out what it is. And that's why I want to encourage you. Find a room, find a group of like-minded individuals, people who have that same fire, passion, and drive. And if you're already around those type of people now, stay with them. Don't sell yourself short. Don't walk away before that fire's lit in you. I assure you, it will light and it will catch and it will start burning brighter than anything you've ever thought. Because that's exactly what happens to me every time I look back where I was at 2.5 years ago. I remember the person I was when I walked in the room, and I remember the person I was when I woke up this morning. And I assure you, they're two totally different people. With that being said, I'll let you guys go. I hope you guys have an absolutely kick-ass start of your week, a kick-ass Monday. I want to thank you guys for letting me take 5 to 10 minutes out of your day with you and sharing this morning monologue with you guys. I truly, truly appreciate it. You guys listening, you guys tuning in on a daily basis to listen to what I got to say, that makes me feel pretty worthwhile too. So thank you for that. This keeps me sober. I assure you. You guys keep me sober. I promise. So if you guys have a topic you'd like to have discussed, feel free to email me, drew@soberschool.org, DREW@soberschool.org, or drop it in the Recovery Classroom Facebook group page, our private group, by the way. We maintain anonymity there. So with that being said, I'll let you guys go. We'll talk again soon. Remember, guys, you can't get drunk if you don't take that first drink.